what was the shape of us? What was it about? We were Pentecostal charismatic. There are other university groups that are from various other Christian traditions, but it was the first national Pentecostal campus ministry Australia had ever had. And finally, the Pentecostal churches had a prophetic voice under the universities and had leaders being thrust into the churches from the campuses into the Pentecostal charismatic churches. We were interdenominational. We were officially a department of the Australian Christian churches, which was then called the Assemblies of God. But in each state, we had an interdenominational board of management, and every Pentecostal movement, denomination, church, and so on, we would approach and ask them who they wanted to sit on that state board of management to represent their denomination. Because of that, across all of the Pentecostal churches, whoever was going to that university was encouraged to get involved in Students for Christ. Momentum came with it because we weren't parochial, we weren't just single denominationally based. It was Pentecostal charismatic, it was interdenominational, it was national. There was a sense of overriding vision, overriding coordination, of not recreating the wheel. There was a cross-pollination of ideas and resources and so on. The way we began was, I think, actually similar, very similar to the situation that now exists. There were a number of groups on a number of universities around the nation who had a heart for the university but weren't necessarily networked or coordinated together. Those groups had the same heart for the university, had different strategies, different ways of going about it. Some of those groups were just a church-based group, and it was basically the young adults of that church and the university students from that church that were within the young adults who were either in some type of small group home fellowship system or who'd started to do stuff to reach the campus, but they were just from that church. There were others that had started to do the cross-church thing within the ACC. Some others that had started to do a bit of an interdenominational thing, but everyone was doing their own thing in slightly different ways. And within a couple of years, we identified it was about 8 or 9 groups, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, one in Perth. And in January 1986, we got together for our first national conference. There were about 8 or 9 groups represented, 109 people present, and the leadership of those groups sat down and started to say, realise we've got a common heart. You do it that way, you do it that way, you do it that way, but let's join together and start to seek God. And something remarkable was forged as a result of that.